Hello everyone, this is Hamid Nafari and today I'll be walking you through my paper on the impact of governance quality on economic stagnation and speed of convergence. There's been a lot of work done in the past around the determinants of economic growth, starting with the slow model that attempts to explain long-run economic growth by looking at capital accumulation, labor, or population growth and the increase in productivity. And it takes the or GDP per capita as a function of log of saving and log of population growth. This model assumes that by holding the saving rates and population growth rates of poor countries equal to those of the rich countries, the poor countries should converge or should show some economic growth faster than the developed ones. Although this was a very influential work, it was substantially improved by Menke, Rumer, and Wheel, whose contribution to the solo model was pretty much augmented with a human capital component, and their model predicts that income levels of poor countries will tend to catch up or converge towards income levels of rich countries if the poor countries can sustain similar saving rates for both physical capital and human capital as a share of output. Having said that, we know that education and global wealth both increased substantially over the past decade or so. So why do we still see some huge disparities in economic development, and why do some countries are showing rapid growth while others are sustaining long economic stagnations? So to answer that question, we picked the four variables as indicators of quality of governance, which we think that it should explain why some countries are sustaining economic stagnation. So, the goal of our paper again is to quantify developing countries' tendency to converge and the effects of governance quality on economic stagnation, growth, or convergence rate. Our model is the full model. We'll take the MRW model and augment it with economic stagnation indicators that will be the perception over government effectiveness, political instability, control of corruption, and regulatory quality. So we picked our data from the World Bank's data bank, and we have 104 countries to work with. We expect population growth to be inversely correlated with income per capita, and we expect log saving and log school to be positively correlated with income per capita, and we expect our economic stagnation proxies that are indicators of governance quality to all be positively correlated, as an improved score in one of these variables should improve a nation's economic status. So looking at our correlation matrix, we see that our expectations are aligned with our results. Population growth is inversely correlated, while savings in schools are positively correlated. The strongest correlations are occurring within our governance quality indicators, starting with governance effect with 0.9 correlation coefficient, followed by regulation equality and corruption control of corruption. So we ran our model versus the MRW model, and we saw that the MRW model accounts for only or explains only 62% of the variations in output per capita through those variables and is not statistically significant, versus our full model that is statistically significant and have a 4.9 coefficient on the constant, implying that holding all of our variables equals GDP per capita will increase by 4.9 a year. The R squared increased to 0.88 in the full model versus 0.62 in the MRW model, implying that our full model does a better job explaining the total variations in output per capita. Furthermore, the F statistic increased to 76 in the full model versus 42 in the MRW model, implying that our added coefficients did in fact improve the model. So now we wanted to test for unconditional convergence, and we found evidence for absolute or unconditional convergence. The coefficients on log GDP is negative, proven that countries that started off poor in 2000 grew faster between 2000 and 2018 than countries that started off rich in 2000. So having said that, now that we proved that we have unconditional convergence, we wanted to see if controlling for other factors will change the rate of convergence. And indeed it does. We see that the coefficients on log of GDP of 2000 increased from 1.6 to 0.2 or to 2.6. In the full model, it went all the way up to 405. In this model as well, we first note that income per capita gap is shrinking at a faster rate when controlling for savings, school, and population growth. Then it increases at an even faster rate when controlling for economic stagnation factors. So with the negative 0.405 coefficient on log of GDP 2000 in the full model, our results point out that almost half of the income per capita gap between 2000 and 2018 would have been eliminated if poor nations had the same rate of savings, education, population growth, and the same score of government effectiveness, regulatory quality, political instability, and control of corruptions as their developed counterparts. So both of our models are statistically significant at all alpha levels. R squared increased from 0.52 in the MRW model to 0.68 in the full model. Although it is a small change, it implies that our added variables explain a bigger portion of the variation in output per capita growth. In both models, saving population growth and schooling all were statistically significant and had signs that are consistent with our expectations in the solo model as well as the solo model theory. In the full model, in addition to saving, school, and population growth, regulatory quality also showed statistical significance with the largest coefficient, while political instability, government effectiveness, control of corruptions were statistically insignificant. So finally, based on our full model results, we determined that the regulatory quality indicator of political stagnation has the biggest impact on economic stagnation, followed by school saving. So holding all of our variables equal, a 1 point increase in regulatory quality score will shrink the income per capita gap by 0.38 a year. This is an interesting finding that supports our theory that the perception on the quality of a nation government is a major cause of its economic stagnation or growth, where better perception on regulatory quality of a given nation attracts more economic activity, increases investment, and stimulates the overall economy.